Hey, before we start, if you're enjoying this journey back in time, hit that like button and subscribe. Let me know where and when you're listening from. It helps a lot. The year is 45,000 BC. You wake to a silence unlike any you've known. Not the peaceful quiet of sleep, but a heavy, expectant stillness. The air itself feels different, brittle. A damp cold seeps into your animal hide bedding, clinging to your skin even before the sun thinks about rising. You sit up slowly, muscles protesting with each movement. It's not just the usual chill of night, this is sharper. You reach out and touch the wall of the shallow cave, slick with frost. The first frost. It wasn't a surprise. The wind had been carrying whispers of it for days, but it changes everything. You smell wood smoke, faint but reassuring. Your family is still asleep, huddled together for warmth. You can see their breath misting in the dim light filtering through the cave entrance. A small fire flickers, tended throughout the night by your father. A responsibility he takes seriously. It's more than just heat, it's hope. You stand and stretch, wincing at the stiffness in your limbs. You are a hunter now, barely 16 summers old, and today is your first solo hunt. Not for anything grand, not yet. Just a rabbit, maybe a bird. Enough to supplement what your father brings back from the larger game hunts. You run a hand over the flint arrowhead you crafted yesterday, testing its sharpness. It feels inadequate. The world outside feels vast and unforgiving. You glance at your father, his face etched with worry even in sleep. He believes in you, but belief doesn't fill an empty belly. The sun begins to crest the horizon, painting the snow-covered landscape in shades of pale pink and gray. It's beautiful, yes, but a dangerous beauty. The frost glistens on every branch, every blade of grass, a fragile coating over a world that is rapidly hardening. You pull on your warmest furs, layering them against the biting cold. You take a deep breath, tasting the icy air. This isn't just about finding food, it's about proving you can survive. It's about becoming part of something larger than yourself. The continuation of your tribe, your family, you. You step out of the cave and into the dawn. The snow crunches underfoot with each step. The silence is broken only by the wind whistling through the trees and the frantic beating of your own heart. It's a stark reminder. This world doesn't care about your fears or your ambitions. It simply is, and you must adapt or perish. You scan the landscape, searching for any sign of life. A set of rabbit tracks in the snow catches your eye. Small, delicate prints, a fragile promise of sustenance. You crouch low, following them with cautious determination. This is it, your first test. The cold bites at your exposed skin, but you barely notice. All your focus is on the hunt, on survival. It's a primal instinct, buried deep within you, awakened by the frost and the dawn. You realize, standing there in the frozen landscape, that this isn't just about surviving the Ice Age. It's about the Ice Age surviving within you. The cold, the hardship, the constant struggle. And somehow, despite it all, finding a way to endure. The smell hits you first. Acrid, metallic, and overwhelmingly mammoth. It clings to the back of your throat, mixing with the icy air that burns as it rushes into your lungs. You taste blood not your own, but carried on the wind from the butchering site. The ground vibrates faintly underfoot, a lingering tremor from the beast's final collapse. You watch them work, these people you now call family, though kinship feels different here, forged in shared hardship rather than bloodlines. They move with a practiced efficiency born of necessity. Every scrap of meat, every sliver of bone, every strand of hide will be used. There's no reverence for the fallen giant, not exactly. It's respect, yes, but tempered by a desperate pragmatism. The wind howls, whipping snow into swirling dervishes around the carcass. You pull your furs tighter, feeling the rough animal skin chafe against your neck. Your hands are numb despite the gloves. Roughly sewn from more mammoth hide, ironically. You've been assigned to scraping fat from the inner layers of the skin, a task that feels endless and brutally cold. You glance up at the shaman, Old Man Kalen. He stands apart, chanting in a low, guttural tone, his face painted with ochre and charcoal. Smoke rises from a small fire built near the mammoth's head, carrying with it the scent of burning herbs, something meant to appease the spirit of the beast, or perhaps simply ward off bad luck. His eyes are closed, but you sense he sees everything. The butchering continues for hours. The sun, a pale disk in the gray sky, begins its slow descent. As darkness creeps in, they begin preparing the ritual feast. Chunks of raw mammoth meat are roasted over open flames, sputtering and dripping fat. It's not appetizing, but you know you'll eat your fill. Hunger is a constant companion. You sit with the others, huddled around the fire, gnawing on tough strips of meat. The warmth feels good, fleeting as it is. Kalen begins to speak, his voice raspy and filled with ancient stories. He speaks of the great freeze, of spirits that roam the ice, of the importance of honoring the hunt. You don't understand all the words, but you feel the weight of tradition, the desperate hope woven into every syllable. The feast ends, leaving you feeling sluggish and full. The bones are piled high, a stark monument to their success. But even as you eat, a sense of unease lingers. This kill will sustain them for weeks, maybe months, but it's only a temporary reprieve. Winter is far from over. You look out at the vast, frozen landscape, stretching endlessly in every direction. The wind continues to howl, carrying with it the promise of more hardship, more loss. You wonder if this life, this constant struggle for survival, is all there is. If you'll ever see a green field again, feel warmth on your skin without fearing. It will be the last time. The mammoth's breath fades into the bitter wind, and with it a small piece of hope. It reminds you that even in this frozen world, life persists, fragile but determined. And perhaps, just perhaps, that's enough to keep going. The smell hits you first. A thick, earthy musk layered with the sharp tang of wood smoke and something else, something ancient. It clings to the back of your throat as you descend into the cave's mouth. Not a grand cavern, but a narrow opening in the cliff face, barely enough room to crouch and shuffle forward. The air immediately drops several degrees, pressing against your skin like a damp cloth. You feel the rough stone under your hands, slick with moisture. It's not water, it's condensation, freezing almost instantly on contact. Ahead, flickering light dances on the cave walls, firelight. You move deeper, drawn by the warmth and the promise of others. The space opens slightly, revealing a cluster of figures huddled around a central hearth. They don't acknowledge your arrival immediately. Their faces are etched with weariness, illuminated in the orange glow. A woman stirs something in a pot suspended over the flames. The scent is vaguely meaty, but thin and watery. Children cling to their mothers, eyes wide and watchful. An older man sits apart, meticulously scraping at a piece of bone with a flint tool. You settle into an alcove along the cave wall, trying not to disturb anyone. The silence isn't empty. It's filled with subtle sounds. The crackle of the fire, the soft whimpers of a child, the rhythmic scrape of bone on stone. But beneath that, you sense something else, a current of anxiety. The man with the bone looks up, his gaze meeting yours for a fleeting moment. There's no hostility in his eyes, just a deep-seated sadness and a weariness that seems to reach into your own bones. He returns to his work, but you notice he keeps glancing at the cave entrance, as if expecting something, or someone, to appear. As darkness fully descends outside, the storytelling begins. Not with grand tales of heroic hunts, but with fragmented memories of warmer days, of abundant game, of a life that feels impossibly distant now. The stories are punctuated by long silences, filled only with the sounds of the fire and the wind howling outside. You realize these aren't just stories to pass the time. They're an attempt to hold on to something vital, to reaffirm their connection to a world that is rapidly disappearing. They speak of green valleys, of rivers teeming with fish, of sun-drenched meadows filled with wildflowers. Each story feels like a desperate plea against the encroaching ice. But fear lingers in the shadows. You see it in the way people jump at sudden noises, in the hushed tones they use when speaking about the creatures that roam outside. Not just the mammoths and bears, but something else, something unseen, something whispered about in fearful tones. The cave offers shelter, yes, but it also amplifies their anxieties, turning every shadow into a potential threat. You close your eyes, trying to block out the sounds, the smells, the fear. You feel utterly exposed, vulnerable. This isn't just about surviving the cold, it's about preserving something within yourselves: hope, memory, humanity. And you wonder, as the fire dwindles and the stories fade, if even these walls can truly keep the darkness at bay. The weight of this existence settles on you. It's not a glorious struggle for survival, but a quiet desperation, a slow erosion of everything that once was. You understand now, surviving the Ice Age isn't just about finding food and shelter. It's about enduring the constant fear, the gnawing hunger, and the heartbreaking loss of a world you once knew. The scent of wood smoke, thin and fading, is the first thing you notice. It clings to your clothes, a ghost of warmth from camps left behind. You taste dust, not the rich earth of summer, but grit ground fine by endless walking, coating your tongue. The sun feels distant, not weak exactly, but filtered through a perpetual haze, offering little real heat. You fall into step with the others, a silent procession stretching ahead and behind you. Each footfall is deliberate, conserving energy. You watch the backs of those in front, shoulders slumped against the weight of meager possessions bundled onto sleds pulled by exhausted dogs. Their breath plumes white, dissolving quickly into the frigid air. You scan the horizon constantly. Not for prey, there's little to be found now. You search for landmarks, anything familiar in this increasingly alien landscape. But everything looks the same. Rolling hills covered in a brittle layer of snow, skeletal trees clawing at the gray sky. It's as if the world is actively trying to erase itself. A child stumbles near you, and their mother quickly rights them, her face etched with worry. You offer a small nod, a silent acknowledgement of shared hardship. There are no words spoken. They've been used up on pleas to the spirits, on comforting frightened children, on simply trying to remember what warmth felt like. The sleds groan under their loads. Dried meat, furs, tools, remnants of a life that feels impossibly distant. You clutch the smooth stone pendant around your neck, a small piece of home, a reminder of who you were before this endless walk began. It offers little comfort against the gnawing cold. You notice something then: footprints, old ones, partially obscured by drifting snow. They lead nowhere. Or rather, they veer off the established path, disappearing into a hollow filled with wind-blown ice. A flicker of unease runs through you. Others have tried to find a shortcut, a better way south, and where did it lead them? The sun dips lower, casting long, distorted shadows that dance like specters across the snow. You quicken your pace, driven by an instinct older than memory, the need to find shelter before darkness falls. The wind picks up, howling like a hungry beast, and you pull your fur cloak tighter around you. You look back one last time, at the fading footprints swallowed by the growing shadows. A chilling thought takes root. Are you following the path to survival, or simply retracing the lost steps of those who didn't make it? The weight of that question settles on your shoulders, heavier than any burden you carry. The journey south isn't just about escaping the cold, it's about outrunning ghosts. And sometimes you wonder if the Ice Age isn't a place, but a state of mind, a constant reckoning with loss, and the fragile hope that somehow, somewhere, warmth still exists. The air bites with a new kind of cold, doesn't it? Not the gradual descent into winter you've grown accustomed to, but a glacial sharpness that seems to seep into your bones. You smell it first. Not ice exactly, but the ancient scent of stone and frozen water, carried on a wind that howls like a wounded beast. It's the river, or what remains of it. You stand at the edge, feeling the spray sting your face even before you see the expanse of fractured ice. The once flowing current is now a chaotic jumble of flows, some small enough to step across, others vast and groaning under their own weight. It's wider than you remember, stretched thin by the relentless freeze. This isn't just crossing a river, it's navigating a broken world. The group ahead begins cautiously, testing each ice sheet with weighted poles. You watch as one man disappears briefly, sinking to his waist before scrambling onto more stable ground. A collective breath catches in your chest. You feel the phantom chill of that icy water even from here. There's no turning back now. The southern lands, the promise of less brutal conditions, lie on the other side. You step onto the first floe, and it holds. Good. But with each movement, a new uncertainty arises. Some ice is clear and strong, others milky and riddled with cracks that spiderweb beneath your feet. You focus on where you place each foot, mimicking the careful steps of those ahead. The silence is broken only by the creaking and groaning of the ice, sounds that amplify your anxiety. A child stumbles, a small cry lost in the wind. A woman quickly pulls her up, offering a reassuring touch before continuing forward. You notice the shared glances, the unspoken understanding of the risk they all face. It's not just about individual survival anymore. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. You see a larger floe ahead, seemingly solid, but as you approach, a network of fissures appears. Someone shouts, a warning perhaps, and the group halts. A moment of tense deliberation follows, then a decision is made to skirt around it, adding precious distance to the crossing. It feels like an eternity. The sun hangs low in the sky, casting long, distorted shadows across the ice. You're exhausted, your muscles aching with cold and exertion. But you keep moving, driven by a primal urge to reach safety. Finally, after what seems like a lifetime, you step onto solid ground. The relief is overwhelming. You look back at the river of ice, a treacherous landscape stretching as far as the eye can see. It's a stark reminder of the power of nature and your own vulnerability in its face. You survived this crossing, but the memory will stay with you, a chilling testament to the lengths you'll go to when everything is on the line. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much can one body endure before it breaks? And how much of ourselves do we leave behind with each hardship overcome? The smell hits you first, not the clean scent of pine or snow, but something older, sharper, rancid fat and desperation. It clings to the inside of your nostrils, a constant reminder. You haven't tasted true fullness in days. Each morning you wake with a gnawing emptiness that no amount of sleep can fill. You watch them now, huddled around the dwindling pile of caribou bones. Old Man Torvin, his face etched deeper with each passing sun, carefully scrapes marrow from fragments others have already deemed useless. The younger ones, barely men, eye his efforts with a hunger that isn't just for food. It's a simmering tension, a silent calculation. You try to focus on the task at hand, sharpening a flint blade. Your fingers are clumsy with cold and fatigue. Each strike feels monumental. Each flake of stone a small victory against the encroaching weakness. But your gaze keeps drifting back to Alara, her ribs visible beneath her worn furs. She's trying to distract her little brother with a story, but her voice lacks its usual warmth. A scuffle breaks out near the bone pile. A young hunter, Kalen, attempts to snatch a piece from Torvin. No words are exchanged, just a brief struggle, quickly broken up by another elder. The look in Kalen's eyes, it isn't defiance, but pure animal need. You recognize it in yourself. The hunt has been poor for weeks. The caribou herds have moved on, driven south by the relentless cold. Each day brings less game and more desperation. You remember a time when sharing was automatic, when abundance felt like a right. Now, every scrap is contested, every mouthful savored with a guilt that tastes almost as bitter as the hunger itself. You venture away from the camp, needing space to breathe, even if it's only frigid air. The landscape stretches before you, vast and unforgiving. A single raven circles overhead, its cry echoing the emptiness within you. You scan the horizon, searching for any sign of life, any hope. Nothing. You find yourself thinking about the stories your grandmother used to tell, tales of a warmer time when food was plentiful and winters were mild. They seem like myths now, impossible dreams from a forgotten world. Was it ever truly like that? Or are memories just tricks played by a starving mind? The sun dips below the horizon, painting the snow in shades of gray and purple. You return to camp, bracing yourself for another night of cold and hunger. The fire offers little comfort, its warmth barely penetrating the layers of fur in bone-chilling despair. You watch as they ration out the last of the dried meat, tiny portions that will do little more than stave off immediate collapse. Your hand trembles as you accept your share. You close your eyes, trying to savor the meager offering, but all you taste is the weight of what's missing. The choices are becoming clearer and harder. Do you risk venturing out alone, hoping for a lucky find? Do you conserve your strength, waiting for a miracle that may never come? Or do you, something else? Something you haven't yet allowed yourself to consider. The ice doesn't just freeze the land. It freezes the soul, forcing you to confront what you're truly capable of when survival is all that matters. You look at your hands, calloused and worn. They have built shelters, crafted tools, taken lives. But can they endure this? Can you endure this? The question hangs in the air, unanswered, a chilling echo in the vast emptiness. The smell hits you first. Acrid, smoky, and undeniably old. It's the scent of bone fire, but deeper than that, a primal odor clinging to everything in the cave. You run your hand along the wall, not smooth stone, but roughly scraped hide, stretched taut over a frame of mammoth ribs. The air is thick with dust motes dancing in the flickering light cast by the central hearth. You watch an older woman, her face etched with lines that map years of hardship, meticulously scraping fat from a piece of leather. It's not a quick task. Each stroke is deliberate, economical. Around her others are similarly occupied, sinew becoming thread, hides being stretched and pegged out to dry, antlers transformed into tools. There's no chatter, just the rhythmic scrape of stone against bone, the soft thud of mallets. You're handed a section of hide, still damp and smelling strongly of animal. It feels strangely warm in your hands, despite the chill that permeates everything else. The task is simple. Remove any remaining scraps of flesh, smooth it as much as possible. But it's exhausting work. Your fingers quickly grow numb, protesting against the constant friction. You glance at the tools. Sharpened flint flakes bound to wooden handles with strips of hide, bone needles, and a heavy stone used for pounding and softening. Everything is repurposed, nothing wasted. A discarded rib cage forms a makeshift rack for drying meat. Even the marrow from the bones isn't simply eaten. It's rendered into oil for lamps and waterproofing. A young boy struggles with a piece of antler, trying to shape it into a point. An older man gently guides his hands, showing him how to apply pressure, how to read the grain of the bone. It's not just about making tools, it's about passing down knowledge, ensuring survival isn't lost with each generation. You look at your own hands, raw and blistered. This isn't a skill you were born with. You weren't raised to understand the nuances of hide preparation or bone carving. But you are learning. Slowly, painfully, you are adapting. Each scrape, each stitch, is a small victory against the relentless cold. The fire crackles, sending sparks spiraling upwards. The shadows dance on the cave walls, mimicking the movements of animals long gone. You realize this isn't just about creating objects. It's about transforming death into life, scarcity into resilience. It's about taking what little remains and making it enough. You finish your section of hide, smoothing it one last time. It's far from perfect, but it will serve its purpose. You add it to the growing pile, a small contribution to the collective effort. Looking around at the faces illuminated by the firelight, you see not just exhaustion, but determination. The Ice Age doesn't care about comfort or convenience. It demands ingenuity, cooperation, and an unwavering commitment to survival. And in this cave, surrounded by bone and hide, you begin to understand that perhaps, just perhaps, you might have a chance. The question isn't whether you can survive the Ice Age, but how much of yourself you're willing to become in order to do so. The scent hits you first. A thick, cloying sweetness battling with the ever-present smell of wood smoke and frozen earth. It's not a pleasant sweetness, more like overripe berries left too long in the cold. You follow it, drawn by an urgency that isn't your own, towards the largest cave opening yet. The air grows warmer as you approach, strangely humid. You see them gathered around old Mara the shaman, She's not moving, but her chest rises and falls with shallow breaths. Her eyes are rolled back in her head, milky white. Around her, faces flicker in the firelight, worry etched deep into every line. They haven't noticed you yet, lost in their silent vigil. You settle onto a cold stone near the cave wall, trying to make yourself small. The rhythmic drumming starts low and slow, building with each beat. It vibrates through the ground, up your legs, settling as a tremor in your chest. Someone is chanting now, a guttural sound that seems to scrape against bone. You feel a prickling on the back of your neck. Not fear exactly, but awareness. Mara begins to twitch. Her limbs jerk violently, and she lets out a strangled cry. The drumming intensifies, faster now, almost frantic. She's speaking, but it's not her voice. It's deeper, rougher, layered with echoes. You don't understand the words, yet somehow you feel them. A desperate plea for warmth, for abundance, for the return of the sun. The vision unfolds around her, reflected in the wide eyes of those watching. You see flashes, herds of massive beasts moving across golden plains, trees laden with fruit, rivers teeming with fish. A world utterly unlike the one you know. Then, just as quickly, it shifts to ice, endless ice, and skeletal figures huddled against the wind. The voice rasps a warning about a great hunger, a darkness that will consume all. Mara collapses back onto the furs, her body limp. Silence descends, broken only by ragged breathing. The drumming stops. Someone gently touches her forehead, checking for fever. They look up, and their eyes meet yours. There's no accusation in their gaze, just a weary acceptance. You realize they believe this is real, that Mara has spoken to the spirits, seen what's coming. You feel a strange mix of skepticism and something akin to hope. Could it be true? Is there more to this world than survival, instinct, and the relentless cold? Or is this just desperation manifesting as belief? A way to cope with a future that seems increasingly bleak. The fire crackles, casting dancing shadows on the cave walls. You pull your furs tighter around you, trying to ward off not just the chill, but also the unsettling weight of what you've witnessed. It's a long night ahead, and even longer winter. The question isn't just whether you can survive the Ice Age, but if you can hold on to something, anything, that makes survival worthwhile. The scent hits you first, not the usual wood smoke and animal fat clinging to your clothes, but something sweet, faint, almost imagined, like dried berries crushed underfoot. You pause, scraping frost from a rock face with a flint tool, and inhale again. It's there, a ghost of summer. You find old Mara doing the same, her weathered hands still as she stares into the gray distance. She doesn't acknowledge you, just continues breathing deeply, eyes closed. Others are gathering too, drawn by something they can barely remember. You watch a young boy, barely old enough to hunt, tentatively reach out and touch a patch of exposed earth, frozen solid now, but holding that phantom sweetness. You close your own eyes, and it comes flooding back, not as a clear picture, more like fragments. The weightless feeling of sun on skin, the buzzing of insects, the vibrant green of leaves. You remember the taste of ripe fruit, bursting with juice, staining your fingers crimson. A time when hunger wasn't a constant companion, when warmth didn't require endless labor. The memory is almost painful in its contrast to the present. The wind bites at any exposed skin, and you pull your furs tighter. You see Kalen, the tribe's best hunter, staring at his hands as if they belonged to someone else. Hands that once held a fishing spear in clear water, now gripping a bone-handled knife against a frozen landscape. Someone begins to hum, a low, mournful sound that quickly spreads through the group. It isn't a song of celebration or strength, but a lament, a remembering. You realize it's not just the warmth they miss, but the ease of life, the abundance, the feeling of being part of something larger than survival. You look at Mara again. Her eyes are open now, filled with a distant sadness. She doesn't speak, but you understand. These memories aren't just pleasant recollections, they're fuel. A reminder of what was lost and perhaps what could be regained, or at least a reason to keep moving forward. The scent fades, swallowed by the wind. The vision dissolves, leaving only the harsh reality of ice and snow. But something has shifted within you. It's not hope exactly, more like a stubborn refusal to let the warmth be completely forgotten. A quiet understanding that even in the deepest freeze, a spark can remain. You wonder if future generations will know this feeling, the echo of a warmer world, or if they'll only know ice and struggle. It's a heavy thought, but you push it aside. There are steps to take, wood to gather, hunts to plan. Survival demands action, even when all you want to do is remember. The cold seeps into your bones, but now there's something else too, a flicker of defiance. You will carry the memory of summer with you, not as a burden, but as a testament to what it means to be alive. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to face another day. The scent of wood smoke, thin and reedy, barely cuts through the perpetual chill. It's not a comforting smell anymore, not like it used to be. It's just present. A marker of continued existence. You run a hand over the worn mammoth hide draped across your shoulders, feeling the ingrained oils and the rough stitching, work done by hands now still beneath the ice. You watch children playing near the fire pit, mimicking hunts with sharpened sticks. They're quick, agile, already learning to read the subtle shifts in snow that betray a rabbit's path. It's different than how you learned. Your lessons were harsher, quicker. Less play, more necessity. You remember stumbling through drifts taller than yourself, driven by hunger, not imagination. The old ones. Those who still recall stories of green valleys and sun-warmed stones, sit huddled together, their faces etched with the map of hardship. They don't speak much anymore, but you see them watching the children, a flicker of something unreadable in their eyes. Is it hope, or simply the acknowledgement that life, somehow, persists? You glance at the tools laid out before you, flint blades painstakingly chipped and resharpened, bone needles threaded with sinew, scrapers for preparing hides. Each object represents countless hours of labor, a defiance against the relentless cold. It's not about innovation now, it's about maintaining what little knowledge remains. The weight of responsibility settles on you. You are one of the skilled ones, tasked with teaching the next generation, not just how to hunt or build shelter, but how to remember. To remember the techniques, the stories, the very essence of who they are. Because if that's lost, everything is lost. You feel a pang in your chest as you look at the meager stores of dried meat and berries. Enough to survive, perhaps, but barely. The mammoth herds have dwindled, driven further south by the encroaching ice. Each hunt is more dangerous, each success harder won. Yet, they continue to venture out, risking their lives for the sake of the community. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the snowdrifts in shades of violet and gray. It's a fleeting beauty, quickly swallowed by the darkness. You pull the hide tighter around you, feeling the cold seep into your bones. This isn't merely survival, it's an act of will. You realize, watching the fire dance and listening to the soft murmur of voices, that resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about enduring it, adapting to it, and finding a way to carry on despite it all. The Ice Age didn't break them. It reshaped them. And in their quiet determination, you see not just survival, but a legacy forged in the heart of winter. The question isn't could they survive the Ice Age, but what would be left of them when the thaw finally came? What stories would remain etched into bone and hide, whispering across the generations?